someone that I respect and admire, and I don't use commentaries. I use two. I do use commentaries, but only two. Keel and Delitzsch it's actually Delitzsch, German guys, for the Old Covenant. Very good, very non-agenda driven, just more language driven. So I like that one a lot. And then for the New Testament and for commentary, I pretty much use all the stuff Brother Worth has put together, which it's not all his. Some of he's brought in things from different people. So do you want to take the lead on this? I did do a little bit did look and see what he had to remind me, because I know I'd read what he had before. It's Luke 16, yeah, the beginning of the chapter.
Maybe we should read it.
We should. I've got to get the right one, though.
Speaking to the disciples, Jesus said, "There was a wealthy man who employed a general manager. Charges were brought to him that his manager was squandering his resources. So he summoned him and said, 'What's this I hear? Turn in your accounts. You can no longer be manager.' 'What am I to do?' said the manager to himself. 'My boss is firing me. I'm not strong enough to dig ditches, and I'm ashamed to go begging. Aha, I know what I'll do. Something that will make people welcome me into their homes after I've lost my job here.' So after making appointments with each of his employer's debtors, he said to the first, 'How much do you owe my boss?' 800 gallons of olive oil,' he replied. 'Take your note back,' he told him. 'Now write down a note for 400. To the next he said, 'How much do you owe?' 1,000 bushels of wheat,' he replied. 'Take your note back and write one for 800. The employer of this dishonest manager applauded him for acting shrewdly. For the worldly have more... This is a word I'm not familiar with.
Suckle.
Question 1, can we look into that more?
Yep.
Than those who have received the light, in dealing with their own kind of people. Now what I say to you is this: use worldly wealth to make friends for yourselves, so that when it gives out, you may be welcomed into the eternal home. Someone who's trustworthy in a small matter is also trustworthy in large ones. Someone who is dishonest in a small matter is also dishonest in large ones. If you haven't been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who's going to trust you with the real thing? If you haven't been trustworthy with what belongs to someone else, who will give you what ought to belong to you? No servant can be slave to two masters, for either he will hate the first and love the second, or scorn the second and be loyal to the first. You can't be a slave to both God and to money.
In older translations, it's God and mammon, which is similar.
It's money.
Yeah. Holly, the suckle. So I have the NIV version. It says, "For the people of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own kind than they are the people of the light."
So I'm getting it's kind of like street smarts.
Yes.
Or
So
like-
what is? Let's focus on what did the master praise him for?
So the commentaries that I read were basically nobody's the good guy in this. Jesus is giving an example of not like be like this man like he has in other ones. He's like, both of these guys aren't great. And the praising the master did of the untrustworthy manager wasn't praise as in you did a good job. It was like, you got some stones on you. Okay, I see what you're doing. Not like
Pat on the back,
Not
good job.
he wasn't congratulating.
Right.
He was just like, good on
Like
ya.
seeing game, like
Exactly. Like I see what
game.
you're doing.
I see what you're doing. I see the game that you're playing. Okay, okay.
You
Cool.
got game.
And that the message wasn't so much to be like the manager or to be like the boss. The message was use the wealth that you have here in life to help others. So in the next age, you will be remembered for it, or you will basically, not like buying friends, use the money that you have here on earth, and you'll be rewarded for it with wealth and friendship in the next age.
That's exactly what the whole point of it is. What God has provided you now is not yours. It is His. And we are to take that and use it sensibly, shrewdly, to gain in the next age. What is that gain? Well, I want to hear, well done, good and faithful servant. I want to please Him. So we should use our resources, our mammon, because you can't serve God and money. So if you're serving God, your money doesn't matter. Your money is used to serve God. That's the whole point of the whole parable.
So the question, so all of that, like, I can totally get behind that. The one that tripped me up a bit, though, is using worldly wealth to make friends for yourselves, so when it gives out, you may be welcomed into the eternal home. Do we remember, like, in the next age, like, oh yeah, that guy gave me some money for gas back when we were all alive. Like, we're still buddies? Like, is that the kind of connection? Can you set up?
Let me look at the Greek on 9. Maybe friends isn't. Let's see. Beloved, dear, friendly. Philos. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be towards counting as right? Like, in personal accounts with the Lord?
I'm sure that's a part of it, but the passage is talking about using your wealth now to make friends now. So when you don't have money later, you will be welcomed into the eternal home.
Yeah, nine's difficult, isn't it?
But I think I can see that takeaway.
If you have a lot of money and you just keep all your money for yourself and you never share with the people around you and you know they're suffering and you just let them suffer, then in the next life, if they remember, pay some of it, then they're going to know that you didn't care. But if you use what you have and you help those that are suffering around you to not suffer so much, then they
And
will
it's
remember.
not advocating to use your resources unscrupulously or and fraud or any of that.
Yeah.
That's just the situation he painted. The situation, right? A parable is a situation we're supposed to learn from, not
Yeah.
necessarily.
But if I just give you money to help you out so that I can look good,
Well, there was
that's not
another.
any better than not giving you money.
There was one more commentary that I read that where at first I was kind of like, ugh, I don't like that. But the more I think about it, it's like, I guess I can see how that could be a possibility where they said using your wealth now to point others to God, and basically you're recruiting a circle of friends that now understand
Okay.
their role in the kingdom. And so if you don't share, it's just you up there. But if you share and you bring all these, they win these souls, you can basically recruit an entire neighborhood.
Well, and
with
if they precede you, they're going to welcome you there, right? Because
Yeah.
you were instrumental in them being there. So
I don't like the way it was phrased when I
Yeah.
first read it.
well,
but
it's
I can kind of
9
get
is a tough sentence.
just behind the rest of it. So this one was not as cut and dry, which makes me wonder, like, how many other ones are actually not cut and dry that I'm just taking at face value?
Oh, look,
Just parables.
the
of
light
it.
in your eye, right? That he told the parable. He told, if the light goes out of your eye, you have no light, and all that. He's talking about greed. That is all about greed, because that is a Israeli idiom for.
Oh, like an
Be-
evil eye and
yes,
an evil,
yes.
The eyes are definite. I've picked up on that from reading some of the phrases
Yeah.
in the CJB
Justin?
Bible.
Could it be more like the fact that we should be using our own kindness and the things that we have, even if it's money related, whether you're wealthy or not?
Well,
Which,
it's what you have, yeah. Your wealth, your resources.
can I finish
'cause-
my thoughts, please?
You asked me a question, I just answered it. Yes, go ahead. Finish your
I-
thought.
You know, like, for example, if somebody dies in your family, and you can use the wealth to help them get through what it is their grief and their hardship, like, cooking for them, giving them the comfort they need, and clothes, and,
Well,
you know,
the
that
Bible
kind of thing.
the Bible speaks about that kind of love in other places, but this parable is about specifically about money.
I was talking about that.
This parable is about money.
I'm aware of that, but I was talking about using the money not for yourself,
Right.
but for helping other people,
That's
giving it to charity
yes.
and such.
Making friends for the kingdom is definitely directed at, or what's it say? They may receive you into Ionian of the next age, everlasting. It's Ionius. They'll receive you into the habitations of the next age. So it's definitely talking about using your money to affect the lives of others, pointing them in the toward the kingdom or toward a relationship with God. This particular passage, I have Jeff's being patient. Go ahead, Jeff. Then Corey.
So, all right. Let's take that as the message. I still don't see how it reflects back to the example that Jesus gave us, though. Because, okay, if it was the master that basically said, okay, I'm going to forgive the debts, okay, I'm
Gotcha.
using that as a way to bring you to God. This is somebody, it's an intermediary. Like, he's actually doing a disservice to his master.
Yep.
And I think that's just the weird thing about this parable, because normally most parables with the master, that's a reflection of Jesus or God. And so if we're taking God out of it, or if God is, a separate party to this, like
Well,
I just...
In our application, he would be the master, right? It's his resources.
Right, it's his resources. So he's squandering his master's resources by trying to make friends for himself. Because he's absolving these people of debts that aren't his.
So then he commends the steward's shrewdness because he used his position for his particular his goal,
Right.
his betterment, right? So to apply it to God as the master with the resources and us as the steward, we're to use his stuff, not for and it's not saying for our own goodness, because if for Christ, we're supposed to be focused on him, right? So
But it is for his own benefit, because he wants to be welcomed into these houses once he loses his job.
I don't disagree that it's not the best example, but and maybe we're missing something.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. So that's where I'm getting hung up on.
Well, give me 10 more years of meditation, and we'll hit it again. I don't know.
Yeah.
Corey and then Holly had her hand up.
Yeah, he covered it.
You covered it. Okay.
Yeah, you would think it would just be a more clear-cut example.
I'm wondering if the focus isn't so much on what the steward did. The focus is on the master's response to what the steward did. Because I think if we take that negative example, we should be appalled. Like, that's not a good thing to do. And the master was not praising him and as in your actions were virtuous or your actions were good for me, but I see you're taking care of you. That's neither of them were the good guy in this. So we are not to be like
What
the
the master do to be a bad guy? He just recognized that the steward was pretty shrewd in using his authority and position, of course, mismanaged. He said, "You're pretty smart. Why didn't he fire him right away?" Well, he, 2-week notice or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever the situation may be, he didn't remove him. He was stupid for letting him continue on, right?
Yeah.
That tells me, if you're in management, you did not know that person had that in them because you gave them enough rope to hurt you.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, that you're pretty smart when it comes to this worldly stuff, how to, manage, to use what you've been given, whatever that may be, position or wealth. Emmy?
Okay, the thought just came to me. So when
And it's gone.
I have it in my head. I don't know how to say it though.
With words.
I understand. Works by faith, right? When we do things, we still have to put the work into them, right? So, like, say,
Isn't doing things the work?
hold on.
I'm just trying to help here. No rush. Take your time. We all have coffee to drink. It's good.
So let's say, for example, I'm trying to look for a job, right? I want a better job. I want a new job. I can't, and I'm praying about it, but just praying is not going to get me the job.
Right, you still have to go
right?
for the job.
I still have to apply for the job. I still have to interview for the job. I still have steps to do to get to the job. So
Not necessarily always, but most of the time.
But most of the time, you have to do the work in order to get to that goal.
Okay.
That you prayed to God about. There was a correlation between that and this passage, and I had it, and now it's gone.
All right, Justin got his hand up. We'll come back to you if it comes back. Okay.
Did you call my name?
I'm waiting for her to agree to what I just said.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Justin.
Emmy just put a thought into my mind.
Great.
Y'all are dangerous when you start thinking. I'm just
Maybe-
telling you.
Maybe
All
he
of
has
it.
it and I don't.
What did you just say?
I said maybe you had the thought that I had that I lost.
Maybe I didn't. Maybe I did. I don't know. But I'm just thinking, when you said work, that reminds me of my situation at work. All my coworkers are complaining and bickering, like, oh my goodness, we have so much work. They're not being very content with where they're at. They have a job. At least they're not the ones laid off. They have a job. They still get to work. They still get paid, so they have money to function in the house. They have money to put food on the table, take care of their spouses, and they have the resources. So maybe that's what it is: being content where you're at.
No, it does. No,
Realizing that you
yes, we are to be content. Again, that's other scripture. Certainly.
I'm just sorry talk.
No.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying what we're looking at in this passage is talking about money. It is definitely about money.
Well, okay, then they have money. They have money.
Right.
They need to stop worrying about management not doing their job.
I agree.
They have the money to what?
I agree.
Sorry.
I agree.
That's what I mean.
But we would have to go to other Bible passages, is what I'm saying. This doesn't talk about being content. It talks about using your resources for God's kingdom, basically. Jeff?
So, I like the idea of street smarts. So maybe it's more about, because I was reading through this again, and it's like, okay, well, maybe it's not the best example, but if if the sons of this world are more street smart in dealing with their own generation
Yeah.
than the sons of light. And so if you can make friends for yourself by means of your street smarts, when your smarts eventually fail, you can use that, maybe it's a way to use that to build on
That's
your
what
faith.
shrewdness is, right? Shrewdness, I mean, sensibility, understanding the context that you're standing in on the street. That's how I view it.
And meeting people where they are, right?
Right.
Because it's like, well, sometimes you have to know what situation you're in to be able to use it to your advantage, or to bring people, to God.
And there's where we have the rub. To your advantage. In our example, the steward, it was totally his advantage. But if we meet people where we are and we use our street smarts to our advantage for the Lord's work, which is what I believe this is saying, that's a different message. That's not so that we can gain personally and selfishly. It's so the kingdom can gain. And I believe that's supported by, hey, I'm testing you in this little thing. If I can't trust you to give you these resources and you're not going to use it for me or for my things, then I'm not going to give you big things. What are big things? Well, it could be a ministry. It could rulership in the kingdom to come when the kingdom age comes. So all of that is rolled up into this, but it's about using your wealth for sure. And I know I keep pounding on that because there's 3 parables in a row that talk about wealth. The next one is the very controversial one that most people don't think is controversial. They think it's cut and dry. But it's about wealth. It's not about heaven and hell. It's about wealth. The rich man and Lazarus is about wealth. Justin.
May I have the parables so I can read it?
Pardon?
May I know what the parable is in the Bible?
Oh, we're in Luke 16.
What?
Luke 16.
Okay.
You had your hand up?
Isn't there a correlation with that passage with another passage? I'm probably like going off the rails a little bit, but the Lord's Prayer, it says in the specific passage, it says, "As He forgives your debts, you shall forgive others."
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this was a debt that the servant had with the others, with him, or not. That's why I'm just wondering.
Are you asking me to expound on that passage in the Lord's Prayer? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm asking, is there a correlation between the Lord's Prayer forgiving someone's debts as God forgives ours? Because
No, I think that's you should forgive those around you the way God forgives you. Debts doesn't necessarily mean monetary debts in that context. That can be looked at as an injury. An offense would also be a debt.
okay.
So, use your street smarts to make lots of friends you'll see in the next age. And by that, you'll prove that you're trustworthy to God, and He will be able to trust you with bigger things than just what He's given us here. However much He's given us here. And what He's given us here. I like that. Street smarts.
Not sure I like that idea.
Can I steal that? What did she say?
She disagrees.
Girl, you grew up in Belfair. There ain't even no paved streets in Belfair when you grew up.
They were paid.
The main road.
It was definitely paid.
Those are some vicious streets with all 5,000 people.
That Uber Eats driver did not have street smarts. Did you read the news story from this a
That
couple
was in
days ago?
Belfair, right?
It was in Belfair.
Belfair Uber Eats driver?
Yeah, he was following his GPS in a very wrong direction, but he kept going for like a mile and a half down some like private.
It's like the Michael Scott. I drove into a river. It said to go into the river.
Yeah, he was
Instead of
dedicatedly.
going to the-
He dedicatedly followed the GPS and got stuck, and a tow truck driver like had to hike in and like bring the kid out. I guess he was like a teenager or like a young adult, and then ended up going to the back the next day with his truck to pull the kid's thing out, and it was very sweet. He didn't charge him. He's like, people make mistakes. Just please be more aware of your
Yeah.
surroundings when you're driving.
Your
Don't rely
GPS
on GPS.
often is not right. Trust me.
Dripping, like, started crying.
As one that relies on GPS in lots of different places, it is not always right.
Elvis tissues
It
finally
almost
ran out.
sounds like you're saying it's okay to manipulate people that way.
No, that I was very careful to give the caveat to do it in a righteous way, not in a. The fraud was not what he was praising. He was praising the fact that he used his position and his position to put himself in a better position. He used his authority to put himself in a better position. He praised that shrewdness, that sensibility, and Jesus is saying you should be sensible in using what I've given you to advance the kingdom in similar manner. Not in a fraud or deceit or any of that.
But that is what that guy did. It
Yeah,
was
but he's
fraud,
not-
it
but-
was deceit. it
But he
was-
did not, they weren't praising that. You got to get over that part of it, because that is not the part that is the part that he wants us to focus on. He wants us to focus on the guy used his position. He used it wrongly, but he used it. He understood it. He's smarter in the things of this age than the children of light are.
It seems like a very slippery slope.
I think it is a slippery slope unless you play everything above board, which is exactly what God would want us to do.
So let me give you this so you can be my friend. So the next stage will be great. Is that what
So
you're
that's
saying?
how I read it. That's how I
No.
read it at first too.
So
To do whatever, to use what you've got to influence people for the sake of the kingdom, so that in the end they will be in the kingdom welcoming you because you had a part in their spiritual life, their development. That's the explanatory sentences are way more important than the scenario. We keep looking at the scenario like this is a messed up scenario. Well, it is a messed up scenario. And by the way, if you look around, there's lots of messed up scenarios because it's a fallen world. And he's saying, well, people out there, they're pretty sensible. They know to use what they've been given, their influence and their authority, for good, for their good. I'm saying use it for my good. That's what Jesus said. Do what they do, but only do it for my good, not for your good. No? Still no? Okay. That's all I got. Seems like, let's see.
I'm having a hard time with it too.
I'm gonna have to ponder this for a very long time.
Okay.
Could it be like, if you're using your wealth like to like why are you giving me money to help me out? That's a weird thing. And then you say, well, this is God's given me this money. This is all.
Right.
This is an example of how I'm supposed to use my money, how God wants me to live, and then the person receiving it goes, oh, tell me more, and then conversations
Or
start.
maybe they don't.
relationships
Maybe
grow.
like, oh, that's nice. See you later.
Well, no, he's talking about you do that, and then you recruit, you share the light, and then you have more people.
Jeff had his hand up first, then Justin.
Because if you keep reading, it says, one who is faithful in very little is also faithful in much, and one who is dishonest in very little is also dishonest in much. And it's like, well, how does that relate to what we just read? But yeah, you basically, if you use your faithfulness and street smarts together, that's how you
Right.
advance God's plan.
So you, in your position, can influence people for the Lord differently than I can in my position. Right? So using what you've been given, but you're and in particular, this is about wealth, right? And
Well, I think it could be skills, or
yeah,
sure,
yeah,
you could use
Resources.
wealth,
yeah,
but
resources. That's how I like to say resources, because your money is a resource, your skill and your time is a resource, and all those should be considered in our service. So using that to advance the kingdom. And by advance the kingdom, I mean influencing people. Influencing for the kingdom, not for me to, be more secure or have more or whatever it is that you want, whether it's fame or power or any of that.
So essentially using powers for good instead of for evil. Using street smarts for good than for evil.
It's a superhero.
It's a super. Yeah,
Okay,
it's a super
Justin?
power.
Sometimes I was reading it, and it sounds like it's talking about if you had the resources to do good, then you should use it to do good. But sometimes people can use those resources to do wicked things and let it corrupt them to do the wrong things that they should not be doing,
Yeah, that's true.
which is a sin.
It's also a sin not to use what God's given you to the right way.
I think that's all what we're all trying to say here.
Come on, Corey. You got issue.
Don't
Go
we
ahead.
have other stories in the Bible, though, of somebody in a position of power underneath somebody else
Mhm.
that used their position
Mhm.
to better someone else's life,
Mhm.
but not through taking.
Like Trump.
Yeah. So
But not.
Joseph.
Yeah, giving his brothers more money, more grain than what they were allowed, but it was his position to do so.
Mhm.
But he didn't. I don't know. Maybe it's the same thing. Maybe that's what you needed. He gave
But
more.
it
than he was
is, but it's a
supposed to.
negative example, which we're all going, why would he use a negative example?
Because even negative examples have lessons in them. Even mistakes have lessons in them.
Well, every mistake should have a lesson.
Yeah, every mistake should have a lesson in them.
Thomas Edison failed 418 times before he found the right filament, but he kept at it for years. We wouldn't have light bulbs. Well, not as, maybe we would, but not as early. There's actually another guy that invented at the same time. Honestly, if we dig into history,
Edison's not that great of a guy.
no, he's not. I shouldn't be lifting him up, should I?
And Nikola Tesla.
He was just a genius, but not a good businessman.
So yeah, lack of street smarts.
Yeah,
Not
Tesla
as
didn't
great.
have the street
Just
smarts.
kidding.
Edison did.
Sorry.
Edison still has things named after him, and Tesla just finally has a car named after him.
Use your powers for good.
Oh, you're talking about Elon Musk.
Elon,
I like that one.
not Ellen.
I like it.
All right.
He's
I
so
knew-
generous.
I knew what you meant.
It's 5 after. We got to close this. Good discussion.
I just think that that's a hard one to grasp.
Well, when you see Jesus, you tell him that you think he used the wrong parable, that it was really hard. And he'll say, well, that's why I did it, because you're remembering it.
Yeah, but I've spent most of my
It's a
adult life
long
trying not
time
to
to
use
figure it
those
out.
skills to do things to that.
Why wouldn't you use the skills that you've been given? Your experience teaches you.
It's deceptive.
He's not saying to deceive anybody. It's not deceptive. If you go in openly, it's not deceptive.
How would you
Like Holly
insult
said, I'm
God?
giving you this because this is what the Lord tells me to do. Doesn't mean that I necessarily even like you. I mean, you can add that if you feel like it.
Well, I do a lot of things even though I don't like people.
Right. Well, you think about it, and then you bring it up to the pastor after you think about it for a while. You can talk to him some more.
This just sounds, reading it from another version, just the basic Bible English.
Hmm.
And it says, his Lord was pleased with the false servant because he had been wise, for the sons of this world are wiser in their relations with their generation than the sons of light.
Yeah, pleased is not in there. He praised him. It's what's the word? Apenio, praise. He praised the unjust manager because he had acted sensibly. Sons of this age are more sensible in relation to their own kind. In relation to their own kind. That's interesting too. So you're making me go back in here, huh? More prudent. Let's see, what's Greek say? Son of the age. Nemoterio. Interesting word. Never. I don't remember that. Prudent or wise.
It's like Aesop's fable, for the
On behalf of the sons. Yeah, they're better than the sons of light in their generation. That's literal. I sin. So there you go. Just let it sit there. Let it germinate. Let it marinate a little bit. God always has a way of bringing us around and see what he's saying. Whether what I'm saying is right or not, he'll bring you around to the truth. So I trust that. But we are 10 after, so we're going to have to close. Emmy, did you find it? You didn't find it, so now you have to close us in prayer.
That's fine. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you that everyone here made it safely. I pray for those who are not here, and especially lift up to Nikki and her family with the loss of her dad. Please grant her peace and the ability to know what to do. And in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. No, I had a thought, and then I don't think it was the right path.
Yeah.
So